Hello, welcome to my video series where we sit at the intersection of faith, LGBT, and Christian communities. Hopefully, you've learned something from this video series as I guess, begin to conclude it. I've gone through most of my own material, and I feel like I've kind of covered as much as I want, and to go further would be kind of beating a dead horse. Now, I could go on about the who's who of the gay Christian movement, and I may do that. I've learned several things from several different people, and I've been willing to visit first-hand sources to form my own opinions. Now, with these opinions, I'm not a theologian, I'm not a priest, I'm not a pastor, and I don't really always ascribe to be a teacher. I don't have those who sit under me normally. I am pretty much a layperson. And as such, you need to dive in and investigate these matters yourself. And also be sure to go to first-hand sources. And that's important. Because what we often have is people tell us one thing about tradition, and it's not true. And they believe it's true, but how do they know other than that's what they've been told? And with the LGBT topic, we've been told several things that aren't true. And like anytime I hear the word lifestyle, I'm like, no, it's not a lifestyle. I'm a 30-year-old virgin. And what was happening for me in the church was, because I'm demisexual, if I avoided relationships, I would avoid sexual desire. Now, that is not necessarily a good thing, and sometimes we're called to embrace the mess that is life. And what was happening is the more I was in the closet, and the more I was so-called fighting sin, at least in my own mind, I was really fighting my relational desires towards people. And as a result, I was tithing mint and cumin rather than focusing on the weightier matters of the law, like justice, mercy, righteousness, and love. And I had kind of missed those, and really, it didn't really change until I first opened up, when God pushed me to open up. And even so, I still run into friction because it's very easy to compartmentalize your life in a certain way. But the point is, Christ calls all of us to Him, and there isn't one little bit of us that He does not call to Him. And what we see is that homosexuality is something people claim to be a people group or constitute a people group. And it's really the only supposed group of sinner that's trying to normalize it as a people group. We did not see divorced people normalize any of their things by saying they're a people group. And we don't see that with necessarily abortion either. Though if they were a people group, they would be heterosexuals. But we don't necessarily go around blaming heterosexuals for things like abortion. No, but maybe we could. And that's something to think about, is that there's always something you can latch on to that you disagree with. And hopefully I've convinced those who would be convinced, and everyone else, I've spent enough time on them that hopefully they leave with something they can learn. So, I guess in conclusion, I've hopefully put forward a sincere faith from a pure heart and a clean conscience. It may not necessarily be the faith that you can follow, but it's a start. And we're called to be ambassadors for Christ by being like Christ. And there's a lot more that I could say about the non-affirming church that I've kind of tried to deal with carefully, Because at one point, if I kind of feel a little bit like Paul, if I make them sad or too upset or blow them off, then like who's going to be in Christ on the last day? And I really worry for them because I feel like they're in a more dangerous spot than the LGBT, especially if they are forgetting the weightier matters of the law, as I feel I was. And I guess I'll probably leave you guys with that. But the law is summed up in one thing, and that's the love, or two things, and the second's like the first, and that's love your neighbor as yourself, and also love the Lord your God. And I feel like the LGBT topic, people have tried to wedge it in between those two somehow, or within those, and really it doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit. And in conclusion, I hope you kind of dive into this topic more and come to understand what is actually being said by both sides. And I'll leave you with that.